Hey, hello friends. My name is Madhur and welcome to Chess Times 24. So today we are learning about En-passant. What is En-passant? It's a pawn's special move. The move is completely related to pawn, and let's understand this, that how to do En-passant and what are the rules. Quickly, I'm sharing you the screen. Yes. Here if you see the position that my white pawn is standing on to e5, it means if you're playing from white side and fifth rank, if you're playing from white side and any of your pawn is standing on to fifth rank and your opponent is moving its pawn from the starting point two steps, then you can easily do the en-passant. I came to know that my pawn is standing on to fifth rank e5 square, and from the starting point my opponent is moving its pawn two steps. The pawn is standing next to my pawn. I can capture this pawn like this. This is called as en-passant. Moving on to the next, quickly we are learning about white's position. Okay, so this is the position and my pawn is standing on to g5 square. Again, my pawn is standing on to fifth rank. And just now, my opponent played this move pawn onto h5 square. So I am capturing this pawn like this. G cross h6 is the move. Moving on to the next quickly. Okay, my pawn is standing onto c5 square. Again, I am playing from white side. I have to make sure that my pawn is standing onto fifth rank and my opponent is moving its pawn two steps from the starting point. Let's say my opponent is playing this move. One step only. Pawn is moving forward one step. I cannot do the en-passant. If you are doing that, it will be considerable. It will be counting as an illegal move. So you have to make sure that from the starting point, your opponent is moving its pawn two steps, and now you can capture the pawn like this. This is called as en-passant. Moving on to the next quickly. Yes, this is the position. My pawn is standing on to b5 square, fifth rank. And just now, my opponent moved its pawn two steps. The pawn is standing next to my pawn. I can capture this pawn like this. And now, let's say I'm giving you some other example that my pawn right now, as per this position, pawn is standing on to a5 square, and just now my opponent moved its pawn two steps and I forgot to capture that pawn. Let's say I'm playing some other move. My opponent is playing some other move. And after that, I came to know that, oh, can I do the en-passant? No, I cannot. It is not possible. Your next move has to be en-passant. So you have to make sure that pawn is standing, if you are playing from white side especially. So your pawn is standing on to fifth rank, and so that your opponent is moving its pawn two steps from the starting point and the pawn is standing next to your pawn. So you can capture the pawn like this. This is called as en-passant. Now let's learn about black side as well. Here I am playing from black side, and whenever you are playing from black side, if your pawn is standing on to fourth rank, and white is moving its pawn two steps from the starting point, so that you can do en-passant like this. So from white side, if you are playing from white side, then your pawn has to be standing on to fifth rank. And if you are playing from black side, you have to make sure that your pawn is standing on to fourth rank, so that if white is playing its pawn two steps, then you can easily do en-passant. You have to make sure that the pawn is standing besides your pawn. Moving on to the next. Again, I am playing from white side and my pawn is standing on to f5, fifth rank. The simply black is moving its pawn 2 steps from the starting point. So I am capturing this pawn like this. This is called as en-passant. And many players can simply say that, can we capture any of my opponent's piece? Let's say my pawn is standing on to fifth rank and bishop is coming over there next to my pawn. Can I capture? No, you cannot. It's a pawn's move. Pawn's special move. You can capture only pawn. You cannot capture any of your opponent's piece, right? And if you forgot to capture opponent's pawn, it was it was a chance that yes, you can do n%, but while thinking, you came to know that you want to play some other move and you forgot to capture that pawn. You cannot do n% after that. Your next move has to be n%. This is the rule which we have to follow. Now, my pawn is standing on to e5 square. The pawn is standing on to fifth rank. My opponent is moving its pawn 2 steps. So I can capture this pawn like this. But let's say my opponent just now, my opponent's pawn was there on to f6 square and my opponent played pawn on to f5. One step only. I cannot capture that pawn. You have to make sure that from the starting point, the pawn is moving 2 steps. We can easily capture that pawn. But if opponent is moving its pawn 1 step only, then we cannot capture it. This is the rule which we have to follow. Moving on to the next. Here, if white is moving, let's say I'm playing from black side, and if white is moving its pawn 2 steps, can I capture this pawn utilizing en-passant technique? No, because the pawn is far away from my pawn, so I cannot capture that pawn. Yes, if my opponent is moving its pawn 2 steps, then I can easily capture this pawn en-passant. Right? So this is n% and its rule. So that's it for today's session. Hope you enjoyed today's session and learned a lot. If you learn, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Till the time, bye bye and take care.